Hello viewers, 4DIYers here with another tutorial video for everyone. In this particular tutorial here, I'll be doing a demonstration of how to disassemble and clean a BMW E23 gauge cluster. Show your support by hitting that subscribe button and help promote my channel by sharing your favorite videos on your social media pages. This particular gauge cluster is from a 1984 733i. A similar disassembly procedure may apply to other BMW models from this generation as well. First, start by removing the 8 Phillips screws around the outside of the gauge cluster assembly on the rear. Over time, due to the age of the cluster, there is moisture and dirt present in the air, so eventually any contacts inside become dirty. Your gauges may or may not work. I was having some issues with my gauges jumping. Here are the locations of all the screws. Once the screws have been removed, the gauge assembly can be separated from the front portion of the case. Here's the back side of the case. Be careful not to lose the light symbol indicators at the bottom, they simply sit into place. A close-up of the gauge assembly. Removing the speedometer first, this is quite simple. Try to keep your fingers off the black portions of the gauge backing, as you do risk leaving fingerprints, which can be hard to clean afterwards. Put your fingers behind the assembly, leave your thumbs in the center portion, and pull apart. The gauge sits into place and connects to the contacts on the main circuit board. Once removed, here's the gauge assembly, and you can see the female contacts on the side. Moving on to the tachometer, this on the other hand needs a couple parts removed first. First pulling out the electrical connector, then removing the black contact clip, which needs to be wiggled out of its location as it's a tight fit. Now to remove the main board, carefully pull it out of its location. There will be a wire and 2 ribbon cables which need to be disconnected. This is a tight fit, so use needle nose pliers if need be. Don't damage the wire connectors though. Here's the rear side of the circuit board. To remove the fuel and temperature gauge assembly, remove the 2 nuts with the washers. Carefully pull away from the circuit board, again being careful not to damage anything. I don't normally recommend prying anything against the circuit board as you can risk cracking it. Now to clean up the contacts, using a high quality electronics cleaner. Being that this cluster is over 30 years old, it's hard to say if it's ever been pulled apart or cleaned. So it's bound to have some contact issues eventually, especially if the batteries leak from the SI board. I will be doing a replacement for those batteries eventually once I order some replacement parts. I use special cleaning tips to get into any of the tight contact spaces. This helps agitate the surface. After that, I applied electronic contact protectant to prevent the contacts from becoming corroded and reduce interference between the connections. Go around to various contacts on the board and clean them using electrical contact cleaner. Again, I use the electronic swab soaked in cleaner to go over everything. After cleaning, I applied a protectant to the contacts just like before to prevent any corrosion and reduce resistance in the connection. Do this for all the connections, both on the main board and each individual gauge. For assembly, this is in reverse disassembly. The temperature gauge and fuel gauge needs to be installed first with the washers and nuts. Make sure the nuts are snug, do not over tighten them though. Clip on the main board to the SI board. The ribbon cables can be a little tricky, so take your time. Clip the tachometer and speedometer back into place. Some tips for the unit. For the circuit board with the bulbs and the gear selector, those bulbs are soldered to the circuit board. So if you have a failed bulb, the old bulb will need to be desoldered and replaced with a new bulb. Or you can purchase a whole new assembly, but they can be quite pricey. The bulbs for the cluster illumination on the top, the gray caps simply twist out. I normally use a standard screwdriver for that. The replacement bulbs are W3W, not 194, which is similar, but rated at a higher wattage, therefore it does produce more heat. New videos are being released every Monday and Friday, so be sure to stay up to date with my video schedule by hitting that notification bell on my channel homepage. Don't forget to leave a comment below, letting me know what you think of my tutorial. Thank you for watching.